A fire of outrage ignited in the heart of the Liberty State Bank lobby as John Parker, 47 years old, stepped in wearing faded jeans and an old hoodie, holding a check for $2,300,000 earned through a week of hard work. All eyes turned to him, the overhead lights casting down, as if highlighting every wrinkle on the skeptical face of bank manager Emily Watson, 38, standing at the counter, with sharp eyes and tightly pressed lips. An oppressive silence enveloped the entire lobby, interwoven with the hurried footsteps of other customers and the clicking of phones beginning to record. Emily inhaled slowly, staring at the check, and John then spoke with contempt. "We do not accept counterfeit items here." One word, one command, like a sword slicing through the air, made everyone hold their breath. John remained still, his gaze cold and unshaken, while his heart raced, each beat measured filled with resolve and the fury of years of discrimination. The scene erupted into chaos as Lisa Moore, 35, Emily's colleague, subtly smirked and exchanged a glance with her challenging John silently. Was he an intruder or a target for punishment? Meanwhile, Kevin Brown, 52. The bank's security officer advanced with heavy steps, his face stern, yet fully aware of the latent power in this customer. A young client, Ashley Johnson, 17, lifted her phone to start a live stream, her breath mixing with the clicking of the screen eyes, wide with shock and anger. Viewers multiplied rapidly, hundreds, then thousands. Emotions in the lobby swung dramatically: outrage, astonishment, empathy, every face telling its own story of bias, resilience, and injustice. Emily lifted the check, curled her lips in a scornful smile, and ignited it. The paper hissed and blackened, crumpling and scattering, the scent of burning money filling the air, drawing gasps from onlookers, some hastily raising phones to record. John observed each gesture and motion of Emily, slowing in his perception. Every moment captured not just the destruction of the check, but the revelation of prejudice and moral failure within the system. Tension reached its peak when James pulled out his phone and dialed Tom Wilson, 50, the regional director, his voice deep, deliberate, and piercing. "Tom, I am at the Liberty State Bank downtown branch. There is an incident that needs addressing." Bank staff froze, heavy breaths echoing across the lobby. Emily blinked, a fleeting look of fear crossing her eyes, yet she tried to maintain composure. Kevin placed his hand on the radio, but all fell silent as John opened his bank check, the verification software on his phone illuminating, displaying a massive account balance, confirming his authority and legitimacy. Ashley continued her live stream, her breathing mingling with the murmur of the lobby views, soaring to 10,000, 20,000, with viewers sharing every moment, discussing bias and justice. John stood firm, his breathing steady, his gaze cold, yet resolute, embodying endurance and the power to transform outrage into strategy. In that instant, the bank was not merely a place of transactions, but a mirror reflecting the culture, values, and standards the institution had neglected. Every action John took was quiet, non-violent, yet carried enough weight to change the system, making Emily and the other staff realize that true power does not lie in titles or feigned confidence, but in the ability to force an organization to confront the truth, to face the prejudices it has nurtured. As John seated himself, his eyes sweeping over every face, expression, and emotion, all were recorded, etched into the history of a morning where injustice was exposed and justice began its course. John Parker sat down in a chair in the Liberty State Bank lobby, his eyes scanning every detail, from the light reflecting off the granite countertops, to the tense expressions of the surrounding customers, to the stance of security officer Kevin Brown, 52, standing motionless with his hand on his radio as if awaiting orders. John quietly lifted his phone and dialed Tom Wilson, 50, the regional director, his voice deep, steady, and precise. "Tom, I need to meet you immediately at the downtown branch." Emily Watson, 38. The bank manager felt a chill run down her spine as she met John's calm yet authoritative gaze. Other employees fumbled, unsure how to respond, every word they could speak, now heavy as lead. James opened the banking app on his phone, and the massive account balance appeared on the screen, the cold blue light illuminating his face, highlighting every wrinkle, and his composed demeanor, starkly contrasting the chaos around him. Every action of John now became a test for the staff, a mirror reflecting their lack of professionalism, their biases, and the ingrained culture of injustice in the banking system. Ashley Johnson, Wavantu. A young customer live streaming watched the view. Count surge by the second, from hundreds to thousands, her rapid breathing and excitement mixing as her eyes remained on John, knowing this moment would ripple across social media. Emily tried to maintain composure, but every gesture and word betrayed her unease from the way she gripped the check to her forced smile. John said nothing, simply absorbing each employee's reaction, each customer's gesture, and the clicking of phones across the lobby, all blending into a symphony of tension and anticipation. The beads of sweat forming on Lisa Moore's 35 forehead reflected the belated realization that her and her colleagues' behavior had gone too far. Kevin Brown remained silent, yet his eyes flickered with a hint of doubt, as if weighing John's true power. Slowly John rose, his voice calm, measured but sharp. "Emily, Lisa, Kevin, all of you need to understand that this is not just a customer. This is real power present right before your eyes." The space fell silent. The only sounds were the heavy breaths of customers and the clicks from the live stream. John began recounting his past experiences, the times he was hindered by bias, his journey from the city of Chicago as a young man shaping the determination to build a fair and transparent system. He emphasized that calm precision and strategic intelligence are the most powerful tools against prejudice and discriminatory behavior. Emily and Lisa exchanged glances, recognizing that every word and gesture from John carried undeniable authority. Meanwhile, Ashley tried to capture every moment for her live stream, her excitement contagious to viewers, comments pouring in rapidly, thousands witnessing John's story, every reaction, every step, every glance. The power of social media began to influence the atmosphere as customers murmured, imagining the consequences for the bank staff. John walked past the desks, his piercing gaze sweeping over everyone. Each step a message. Power is not what you possess, but how you wield it to enact change. Emily flustered, blinked repeatedly, struggling to justify herself, but every word fell meaningless before John's authoritative silence. Kevin Brown gripped his radio, about to intervene, but John spoke softly, yet decisively. "Let everything unfold naturally. Each action will reveal who is right and who is wrong." Lisa Moore trembled, realizing that every event had been recorded, not just in the eyes of the customers, but in every frame of the live stream in the hearts of thousands watching. John turned toward the employees, meticulously observing each gaze and gesture. His eyes not angry, but full of power and understanding, as if to say, every action has consequences, every word leaves a mark. The bank lobby had become an arena. Every gesture, every word, now evidence, every gaze, reflecting culture, bias and fairness being tested. Every heartbeat, every breath of John conveyed a message. Change begins with awareness, recognizing mistakes, and confronting them. And as John approached the counter, placing his hand on his phone once more, he knew this moment would mark a milestone, not just for the bank, but for the entire financial industry, where power and justice converged right in the Liberty State Bank lobby. The bank lobby grew thick with tension, every gaze fixed on John Parker, as if awaiting a lightning strike, each gesture of the staff and customers magnified under the glaring lights from above. Emily Watson, 38. The bank manager struggled to maintain composure, her voice trembling as she forced out, "I know this check is fake. You are not authorized to deposit it here." John said nothing, merely lifting his chin, his eyes silent and cold as ice, yet radiating a quiet power that compelled everyone into silence. Lisa Moore, 35. Emily's colleague gasped for air, her face flushed, the pressure mounting, as Ashley Johnson, 17, a young customer, live-streamed her viewers, rising to 15,000. The comments flooded with outrage, spreading messages of justice and inequity. Kevin Brown, 52. The bank security officer, tensed hand still on his radio. The atmosphere electric, every step John took, creating an invisible pull that froze everyone in place. John slowly opened the check in his hand, his gaze sweeping over Emily, Lisa, and each observing customer, time seeming to slow every second, weighted with meaning, each gesture becoming evidence of arrogance and bias. Emily strained her neck, staring, then ignited the check, the flames licking the paper, turning it bright yellow, releasing the acrid smell of burning money. John remained unmoved, observing every detail from the reflected light on the burning paper to the stunned expressions of the customers. Ashley's live stream viewers soared to 20,000, her rapid breathing like a drumbeat, directing everyone's attention. John lifted his phone, dialing Tom Wilson, 50, the regional director, his voice deep and decisive. "Tom, I am at the downtown branch. I need to see you immediately." The sense of power filled every breath, John's gaze reaching every person in the lobby, each reaction meticulously recorded, every word, every expression, every gesture evaluated. The space seemed to compress as John looked at his banking app on the phone, the massive account balance illuminated on screen, the blue light casting over his face, highlighting his composure and the true authority that had just been ignored. Every move John made was a message. This is real power, and every action carries consequences. Emily and Lisa recognized that every gesture, every glance from John carried undeniable weight, panic slowly spreading as they realized their actions had crossed the line, and now every mistake would be accounted for. Kevin Brown lowered his hand from the radio, yet his eyes stayed fixed, understanding that true power cannot be challenged by pretense or bias. John stepped to the counter, his gaze sweeping across each staff member, each customer, his piercing eyes commanding the entire space without a word, transforming the bank lobby into an arena where prejudice and justice confronted each other directly. Every admonition in his tone, every glance made Emily tremble, Lisa flustered, and Kevin more cautious, every action decisive. Meanwhile, Ashley attempted to capture every moment her viewers, climbing continuously, the comments overflowing, justice was being served, true power revealed, everyone beginning to realize that bias could be challenged and fairness restored. John stood tall, inhaling deeply, his eyes taking in every detail in the bank, every gaze, every expression, every heartbeat accounted for, ready for the decisive moment. Every movement became slow but brimming with power, each second charged with fairness, every breath directed toward systemic change, awakening the entire branch. The tense silence filled the lobby, all eyes on John, everyone recognizing that this was no ordinary customer, but a force imposing order, redefining the standards of power and justice. Each step John took became symbolic, each glance impacting minds, reminding that prejudice always carries a price, and justice never remains silent. The bank lobby became a stage where every action was scrutinized, where power and morality met in every moment, where John Parker stood raw, cold, commanding, and unconquerable. The bank lobby fell into such profound silence that every breath, every heartbeat echoed clearly. John Parker, 47, stood tall, like a symbol of silent authority, his gaze sweeping over Emily Watson, 38, the bank manager, and Lisa Moore, 35, his colleague, both standing bewildered, unsure of their next move. He lifted his phone and dialed Tom Wilson, 50, the regional director, his voice deep, measured, and sharp, each word weighted like lead. "Tom, I need to meet you immediately at the downtown branch." Everything seemed to slow the space, contracting under the gravity of his presence. Ashley Johnson, 17, a young customer, accelerated her live stream views, spiking comments flooding in as people online witnessed and joined in his outrage. Emily tried to maintain composure, yet every expression and gesture betrayed panic. Lisa trembled, paralyzed, as she realized that all prior actions could have consequences. Kevin Brown, 52. The bank security officer lowered his hand from the radio, yet his eyes remained fixed on John, recognizing the true authority in front of him, every step and every breath carrying the power to alter the dynamics around them. John placed the check on the counter, his eyes cold as ice, yet decisive, observing every detail, the light reflecting off the granite, the tense faces of customers, each staff movement, everything becoming direct evidence of injustice and bias. Ashley continued live streaming her rapid heartbeat and gasping breaths like a drumbeat, views, climbing comments reflecting empathy, outrage, and a yearning for justice, all merging into the charged atmosphere, allowing John to sense the immense power of public attention and social media. He stood straight, his deep voice deliberate. Every action carries consequences, and power does not lie in a title, but in the ability to force a system to confront the truth. Emily and Lisa exchanged glances, recognizing the weight in every word, every glance of John. Confusion, fear, and regret began to spread. Kevin Brown remained alert, fully aware that real power was present. John moved deliberately, his eyes fixed on everyone, transforming the bank lobby into an arena where justice, authority, and ethics met every movement, a lesson, every word evidence of systemic change. All of John's actions were calm, yet commanding, forcing the staff to realize that arrogance and prejudice could not withstand awareness and true authority. Ashley panted, her hands steady on her phone, capturing every moment, viewers' soaring comments pouring in the online world, becoming a direct witness to change inspiring thousands. John stood still, each breath, each gaze controlling the space, everything becoming a testament to the power of composure, the ability to read and control the situation. The bank lobby became a place of learning where bias was tested, justice demonstrated, each customer, each staff member, each gaze witnessing the strength of calm, every detail, every gesture, every breath carrying a message. Justice always exists, and true power is the ability to turn moments of injustice into a catalyst for change. John placed his hand on his phone once more, pressing the button every passing second, infused with determination and strategy, every action aimed at restoring order, educating and shifting perception. The bank lobby became a living symbol of change and fairness, every eye watching, every heart feeling. And in that moment, John Parker stood as the embodiment of authority, resilience, and justice, compelling the entire bank to confront itself and recognize that every action and every word carries weight and consequence. John Parker stood tall in the center of the Liberty State Bank lobby, his gaze striking like lightning across everyone, present every gesture carrying undeniable power and meaning. Emily Watson, 38. The bank manager felt the weight pressing down on her, her hands trembling as she tried to maintain a false composure, while Lisa Moore, 35, her colleague, revealed fear in her eyes, her heart racing as she realized their prior actions had crossed the line. John lifted his phone and dialed Tom Wilson, 50, the regional director, his voice deep, deliberate, and authoritative. "Tom, I am at the downtown branch. There is an incident that requires immediate attention." Time seemed to slow the space, compressing under his authority breaths, and the clicking of phones becoming palpable, all eyes following every moment. On his banking app, John's immense account balance appeared the cold blue light casting across his face, emphasizing the real power everyone had ignored. Ashley Johnson, 17. The young customer continued her live stream views, climbing into the tens of thousands, comments flooding in "Justice is being served." Every gaze in the lobby followed John, each action, and word measured every gesture weighted with consequence. Emily and Lisa realized that true authority doesn't lie in titles or feigned confidence, but in the ability to force the entire system to face the truth. Each step John took extinguished prejudice, his eyes sweeping over staff security and customers, creating an atmosphere of suffocating tension and silence. Kevin Brown, 52. The security officer lowered his hand from the radio, his eyes aware of the true authority present, heartbeats quickening as he comprehended the magnitude of the moment. John did not yell. He did not force the situation. All was controlled with calm and intellect. His eyes scanning the burned check, the ashes, every face, every expression recording each mistake and bias. The customers and staff witnessed John's actions with a mix of fear and respect, recognizing the real power they had overlooked. Ashley inhaled deeply, her heartbeat, rapid eyes, following every movement, the comments on the live stream, echoing empathy and outrage, spreading messages of justice and authority. John looked at Emily, his eyes calm, yet commanding, conveying every action has consequences, every word is recorded. Emily trembled, trying to find excuses, yet all words fell meaningless before John's authority. Lisa Moore, pale, realized that all previous actions and words had been noted, and the truth was now exposed. Everything unfolded slowly, but tense each second, charged with fairness and power, transforming the bank lobby into an arena where John Parker stood cold, yet commanding, where prejudice and justice confronted each other directly. Each movement, each admonition, each glance from John became a lesson, emphasizing that true authority is the ability to turn moments of injustice into a catalyst for change, making everyone in the lobby realize that justice is never silent, and prejudice always has a price. The bank lobby fell silent, every breath and heartbeat pronounced John still standing, every gesture calm yet powerful, his eyes scanning all recording, every moment, every emotion, every reaction, transforming the space into a living symbol of power, resilience, and justice. Everyone understood that he was not merely a customer, but a force redefining standards of fairness and authority within the banking system. John Parker stood silently in the center of the Liberty State Bank lobby, his gaze cold and unwavering, observing every tremor on the faces of Emily Watson, 38, the bank manager, and Lisa Moore, 35, his colleague, as a wave of pressure and guilt washed over them. Customers watched intently, their phones recording every moment, while Ashley Johnson, 17, continued her live stream views, soaring to 25,000 comments reflecting outrage and support for justice. John slowly lifted his phone, dialing Tom Wilson, 50, the regional director, his voice deep, deliberate, and authoritative. Tom, immediate action is required. The staff froze, not daring to speak, each heartbeat resonating in the tense silence. The burned check on the counter now served as living evidence, the ashes a reminder of their past mistakes and the entrenched biases in the system. Kevin Brown, 52, the security officer, lowered his radio, his eyes recognizing that John's power was not merely in wealth, but in his ability to reshape the entire branch. John stepped toward the counter, his gaze piercing each gesture, a warning every action carries consequences. Emily trembled, attempting to justify herself, but all words fell meaningless before John's authority, while Lisa Moore turned pale, realizing that every previous action had been recorded, and now they would face accountability. John swiped open his banking app, revealing a staggering account, balanced the cold blue light casting across his face, emphasizing power and the truth previously ignored. Ashley continued her live stream, heart-racing viewers climbing rapidly as people on social media watched, enraged, empathizing, and spreading the story. Every glance, every breath, every movement in the lobby became a testament to Justice John's authority and the consequences of prejudice. John stood perfectly still, each heartbeat and breath deliberate, his voice low but sharp, making Emily and Lisa realize that their discriminatory actions had crossed the line and would now bear consequence. Surrounding customers watched, anxiety and fear permeating the space. The lobby had become an arena of justice where prejudice and authority collided directly. John did not shout or intimidate. Everything was controlled with calm intelligence and unwavering focus. His eyes met every person, each gesture resonating with impact. Emily and Lisa, confused and unsettled, recognized that every word and glance from John was true authority, and all prior actions would be accounted for. Kevin Brown remained alert, aware that true power was present, each of John's movements carrying the message justice is arriving. Ashley inhaled sharply, heart-racing eyes following every action, every comment on the live stream, echoing outrage and empathy, spreading a message of fairness and responsibility. John approached each employee, his cold gaze, each breath, every movement emphasizing that prejudice always comes at a price, and justice never remains silent. Every eye in the lobby followed him, every heart absorbing the strength of fairness, authority, and accountability. The bank space became a living symbol of change, where justice, ethics, and authority converged. John Parker, standing as the embodiment of resilience, intelligence, and the ability to turn injustice into systemic change, making everyone realize that every action and word carries consequences, and true power lies in defending justice and educating an entire organization. John Parker stood in the center of the Liberty State Bank lobby, his eyes scanning every employee, every customer, every gesture, every expression. Everything was being recorded, each moment a testament to injustice and bias. He began taking steps to overhaul the entire system, pulling out his phone and making calls to the Human Resources Department and the Executive Office, directing the implementation of new policies, his words and instructions firm and powerful, yet calm, immediately exerting far-reaching influence. Emily Watson, 38, and Lisa Moore, 35, felt John's authority radiating, realizing that all previous actions would have consequences, and they would be held accountable for the impending changes. John emphasized the importance of respecting customers, everyone in the lobby watching from shocked glances to trembling steps, from heavy breaths to racing hearts, all blending into a vivid tableau of power and responsibility. Ashley Johnson, 17, continued her live stream views, soaring comments overflowing with outrage and empathy, creating public pressure on all bank staff and management, making them realize that the media and the public are powerful allies of justice. John instructed the rollout of a system to monitor every customer interaction using AI technology, establishing clear standards for conduct, immediately addressing any discriminatory behavior, step by step, ensuring every employee understood their responsibilities and the consequences of their actions. The bank employees listened, feeling the pressure and the shift of authority in the air, recognizing that justice and ethics were being enforced, that the old system was outdated and needed reform to maintain credibility and respect. John continued implementing regular training sessions, analyzing every story of discrimination, reflecting them in practical scenarios to help employees recognize wrongdoing and learn to serve customers with respect and fairness. Kevin Brown, 52. The security officer sensed the weight of change each step John took, reinforcing the message that true power is the ability to educate and transform an entire system, not intimidate or coerce. John walked past each counter, his gaze sharp, yet resolute, every employee understanding that fairness and transparency were now non-negotiable standards, that every prior action had been recorded, and every word was evidence. Ashley continued her live stream viewers, climbing to 40,000 comments, discussing power justice and change, creating a powerful social pressure that prevented the bank from reverting to old practices, forcing everyone to adapt. John emphasized that the new policies included periodic branch audits, monitoring customer service quality, documenting every instance of bias, strictly addressing violations, and implementing a direct customer feedback system to resolve complaints within 24 hours. The bank lobby became alive, everyone realizing that every action was being observed, every word carried the power to effect change, and every discriminatory behavior would be addressed decisively. John Parker stood still, his gaze steady, yet piercing each breath, carrying the message that true power is the ability to turn moments of injustice into opportunities for reform, to channel outrage into constructive action, transforming a biased bank into a transparent and fair system where every customer is respected. Emily and Lisa stood there, realizing they had just experienced a live lesson, that every prior action had been recorded, and that forthcoming changes would shape the future of the bank. John Parker's gaze swept across the lobby, every employee and customer feeling the strength and determination, every moment resonating deeply, the space becoming a living testament to systemic change, where power, justice, and responsibility converged, and everyone recognized that fairness is not merely words, but action and results. John Parker stood in the center of the Liberty State Bank lobby, his gaze calm, yet piercing, sweeping across the entire branch, every action and gesture becoming a direct lesson in power, justice, and fairness. Customers and employees watched him as if witnessing a rare phenomenon where authority does not rely on title, but on intelligence, precision, and the ability to make the entire system confront the truth. Emily Watson, 38, the bank manager, and Lisa Moore, 35. His colleague felt their hearts racing, bodies tense, realizing that all their prior actions had crossed the line, and now they would be held accountable for irreversible change. Ashley Johnson, 17, continued her live stream views, skyrocketing from 40,000 to 60,000 comments overflowing with outrage support and reminders of justice, creating direct pressure on all bank staff and management. John spoke little, merely standing still, every breath, every heartbeat under control, his eyes scanning everyone, recording every mistake, every sign of bias, every act of disrespect toward customers. Each moment became living evidence. Every action John took conveyed that justice is never silent and prejudice will always be challenged. Emily and Lisa felt the overwhelming presence, recognizing that true power lies not in fake authority or position, but in the ability to transform the system, turning outrage into real and lasting action. Kevin Brown, 52. The security officer sensed the weight of change, each of John's steps reinforcing the message that real power is the ability to educate and reform an entire system, not intimidate or coerce. John continued instructing employees on new procedures, rolling out regular training programs, implementing AI monitoring, ensuring every customer interaction was observed, and every discriminatory act dealt with decisively. The bank lobby became a stage where people witnessed fairness being enforced, where justice and authority converged. John Parker, standing as a living symbol of the ability to change an entire system. Ashley recorded every moment, viewers of the live stream climbing rapidly comments, reflecting outrage, empathy and admiration, the power of social media amplifying the message beyond the lobby, spreading justice and accountability throughout the community. John emphasized that all new policies ensured fairness, transparency and respect, from periodic audits monitoring customer service to documenting biased behavior, all aimed at creating a fair and efficient banking environment. Every employee felt the pressure, aware that past actions had been observed, and that the new system would change operational practices, making every decision transparent and monitored. John stood in the lobby, gaze calm, yet authoritative, each breath, each movement sending the message that true power is the ability to turn injustice into opportunity for reform, to channel outrage into constructive action, transforming a biased bank into a transparent, fair system where every customer is respected. Emily and Lisa realized they had just experienced a profound lesson, that all their actions had been watched, and that upcoming changes would shape the future of the bank. The bank lobby became a living symbol of fairness and authority, with John Parker present, commanding, intelligent and resilient, every action and word carrying the weight to transform the entire system, making everyone in the lobby understand that justice is not just a concept, but action and tangible results, and that each person can be an agent of change. John Parker stood silently in the center of the Liberty State Bank lobby, each breath marking the rhythm of authority, his eyes sweeping over every employee, every customer, every gesture, every expression, all of it woven into a vivid tableau of power, responsibility, and fairness. He knew this moment would not only change the lives of those around him, but reshape the culture of the entire banking system. Emily Watson, 38, the bank manager, and Lisa Moore, 35, his colleague, felt unprecedented pressure, every muscle tensed, hearts racing, realizing that all previous actions had been recorded, that every discriminatory word and act of contempt would now bear consequence under strict oversight. John lifted his phone, calling Tom Wilson, 50, the regional director, his voice deep, decisive. Tom, immediate action is required. The entire branch must be reviewed, and all involved staff will undergo evaluation and training. The bank lobby fell silent. The only sound, the blinking notifications from Ashley Johnson. 17, a young customer, live streaming her viewers, surging from 60,000 to 80,000 comments, flooded with outrage support and reminders of justice, creating public pressure on all staff. John moved deliberately through each counter, his gaze cold but resolute, every breath and motion conveying the true authority lies not in title or false confidence, but in the ability to turn challenges into opportunity, injustice into reform, and every systemic misstep into a lesson for all. Each employee felt the weight understanding that all past actions had been noted and would be assessed rigorously, that personal biases would no longer be tolerated, and any disrespect toward customers would be addressed immediately. John implemented regular training programs, monitored every customer interaction using AI technology, established oversight and service quality evaluation processes, ensuring that all complaints would be resolved within 24 hours and any biased behavior detected. The bank lobby became a stage where everyone witnessed fairness enforced, where justice and authority converged. John Parker, standing as a living symbol of the capacity to transform an entire system. Ashley continued recording every moment, viewers climbing, rapidly comments, reflecting outrage, empathy and admiration, the power of social media amplifying the message beyond the lobby, spreading justice and accountability throughout the community. John emphasized that all new policies ensured fairness, transparency, and respect, from periodic audits, customer service monitoring, to documenting biased behavior, all aimed at building a fair and efficient banking environment. Every employee, from security to tellers, from managers to the bank manager, recognized that power is not simply authority, but the ability to build and uphold ethical standards where justice is the norm, respect is unbreakable, and every action leaves a lasting mark. The bank lobby was now filled with a strong, quiet intensity, each of John's actions touching hearts and minds, making them realize that change begins with a single individual, with the intelligence and courage to stand for what is right. Every breath, every gaze, every word, every action of John Parker became a living symbol, spreading from Liberty State Bank throughout the community. Every live stream, every comment, every share becoming evidence of the power of fairness, the impact one person can have to awaken an entire system, creating a new culture where all biases are challenged, all unjust actions are scrutinized, and true power is used to positively transform everything, ensuring justice and respect for customers are no longer exceptions, but mandatory standards inspiring all who witness it and guiding the next generation to recognize that just one intelligent, determined, and courageous individual can change an entire system, so that every action, decision, and interaction reflects fairness, ethics, and responsibility, and that John Parker's courageous actions at Liberty State Bank will forever stand as a vivid testament to real power, the ability to turn challenges and injustice into reform, and the far-reaching influence of a single person daring to do what is right. John Parker stood in the center of the Liberty State Bank lobby, the surrounding space so quiet that every breath and footstep echoed his gaze, piercing through everyone, every gesture and motion, radiating silent authority, reaching beyond the lobby to every employee, every customer, every heart, watching through Ashley Johnson, 17, who had captured the entire event on live stream. Views surged. Comments from thousands expressed outrage, empathy, support for justice, and the power of social media. John pulled out his phone, calling Tom Wilson, the regional director, his voice deep and resolute. "Tom, we need immediate action. The entire branch must be reviewed, and all involved staff evaluated and trained." Emily Watson, 38, the bank manager, and Lisa Moore, 35. His colleague felt unprecedented pressure, hearts racing, muscles tensing, realizing all past actions had exceeded boundaries, and they would now be held accountable under strict new procedures. Each step John took emphasized that true power lies not in title or false confidence, but in the ability to turn injustice into reform, to transform moments of outrage into opportunities to change the entire system, from policies to customer service attitude, from regular monitoring to employee training, from interaction oversight to direct feedback. Kevin Brown, 52. The security officer recognized the authority and influence of John, each breath and step affirming awareness and real power. Ashley continued recording views, surpassing 50,000 comments, overflowing, making the story go viral, the force of justice and media spreading across the community, influencing other branches, showing that prejudice carries consequences and fairness is mandatory. John implemented AI monitoring for every customer interaction, ensuring any attitude violation or discrimination was recorded and addressed, promptly transforming the entire bank into a transparent, fair, and respectful environment where every action and decision reflected ethics and responsibility. The lobby became a living symbol of authority and justice, every gaze fixed on John, every breath and heartbeat, sensing change, from customers witnessing the event, from employees learning from live stream viewers online. John Parker did not shout, did not intimidate. Every action, subtle and precise, each word, a guide, each look, a lesson, every detail, every moment, conveying a powerful message of fairness and accountability. Emily and Lisa felt the pressure, realizing true authority lies not in false confidence or title, but in the ability to make the system face the truth, correct root errors, and establish new ethical standards. Ashley continued her live stream comments, reaching hundreds of thousands, the story's reach awakening the entire banking community, and beyond, showing that fairness is not a concept, but tangible action, that every act leaves a mark, and each individual can be an agent of systemic change if intelligent and courageous enough. John Parker rolled out periodic evaluations, transparent reporting, AI-monitored customer interactions, regular training on awareness and bias, detailed documentation of every complaint, ensuring all violations were addressed immediately. Employees realized every action, every word, every attitude was observed, and all disrespect would be handled decisively. The lobby came alive, charged with authority, fairness, and responsibility. Everyone recognizing that this moment would be remembered, shared, and become a lesson for the entire system. John stood tall, gaze sharp, yet calm, each breath, each motion, sending the message that change begins with a single, intelligent, determined, and courageous individual. That true power is the ability to turn challenges and injustice into reform, transform personal experience into systemic change, and turn wrongful behavior into living lessons of ethics, responsibility, and justice. Emily, Lisa, Kevin, and all employees witnessed this moment, feeling the change in every detail, every glance, every word. They realized this was living proof that one person can transform an entire system, awaken a culture, and establish new standards where fairness and customer respect are mandatory, no longer exceptions. John Parker continued guiding the reform system, monitoring all branches, ensuring every employee adhered to new standards, every customer interaction transparent and recorded. Ashley Johnson captured every moment live streaming to hundreds of thousands comments, spreading messages of justice and accountability, creating unprecedented influence across the entire banking sector. John moved through the lobby each step, and breath reinforcing the power of true authority. Every employee and customer, recognizing their actions, were observed, every mistake corrected, every bias challenged, and every decision guided by fairness and responsibility. The bank lobby became a living symbol of authority, ethics, and justice, with John Parker present as the embodiment of the capacity to transform an entire system. His influence spreading beyond Liberty State Bank into the community, inspiring all who witnessed that a single, intelligent, determined individual can change everything, making justice, respect, and transparency foundational standards, so that every action, word, and decision reflects the power of ethics, responsibility, and true authority, and that John Parker's legacy will remain a living testament, inspiring the next generation about the ability to reform an entire system through courageous, aware, and strategic action. John Parker stood silently in the center of the Liberty State Bank lobby, his gaze piercing into every heart and mind of the employees, customers, and supervisors. The bank was filled with tense silence, punctuated by the blinking of phones from Ashley Johnson, 17, live streaming her viewers surging into the tens of thousands, comments spreading outrage and support for the right decision. Every past action of Emily Watson, 38, the bank manager, Lisa Moore, 35, and the other employees was under scrutiny, each gesture of contempt, each discriminatory word, each act of negligence now recorded, becoming an unforgettable lesson. John opened his banking app. The massive balance displayed the cold blue light casting across his face, emphasizing the power and responsibility that came with it. He did not need to shout or intimidate his calm and intellect alone. Each breath, each glance, each action delivered a strong message. Justice always exists and prejudice always has a price. He began implementing a system to monitor the entire branch, applying AI technology to track every customer interaction, every feedback recorded, every violation addressed strictly, ensuring customer service remained transparent, fair, and accountable. Regular training sessions were established, employees tested on attitude, skill, and professional ethics, each action, each word, subject to recording and evaluation. John emphasized that true power lies in the ability to transform the entire system, turning injustice into opportunity for reform and creating a new culture within the bank. Ashley continued her live stream viewers, climbing to 100,000 comments and shares, spreading the message of fairness and responsibility, demonstrating that media and community are powerful allies of justice. John guided each branch in applying the new standards, conducting regular audits of processes, evaluating customer service quality, documenting every biased act, and establishing direct feedback channels to ensure complaints were resolved within 24 hours. There was no room for bias, injustice, or disrespect toward customers. Each of John's actions became living evidence, inspiring all employees, and customers showing that change begins with a single individual with enough courage, intelligence, and resolve to stand for what is right, and that anyone can make a powerful impact on the entire system. The bank lobby was reborn, every gaze, every breath, every behavior, reflecting authority and justice. John becoming a living symbol of turning challenges into reform, injustice into profound lessons. Employees from security to tellers, from managers to the bank manager, realized that every action would be monitored, every word carried weight, and that ethical standards and fairness are immutable. They learned that justice is not a concept, but concrete, measurable action with far-reaching impact. John Parker implemented comprehensive reforms, periodic evaluations, AI monitoring, strict handling of violations, transparent reporting training, and awareness programs for all employees, transforming every moment in the bank into a lesson in ethics and responsibility. Every action, every word, every decision aimed at building a transparent, fair, and customer-respecting banking environment. Ashley's live stream, along with thousands of comments and tens of thousands of shares, spread the power of the message, making the entire bank and community realize that power, when properly applied, can turn injustice into opportunity, challenges into reform, and every moment into living proof of ethics, fairness, and responsibility. John Parker demonstrated that comprehensive change begins with one intelligent and courageous individual, a legacy that would extend throughout the system, shaping the culture and standards for all branches, employees, and customers, transforming Liberty State Bank into a model of fairness, transparency, and accountability, where every action, every decision, and every interaction reflects justice and respect, and where justice is no longer an abstract concept, but tangible action, results, and living proof, inspiring everyone to stand up, act, and transform the entire system for the better. From the perspective of an expert in organizational culture and power dynamics, John Parker's story at Liberty State Bank is not only a demonstration of personal strength, but also a profound lesson in how one individual with enough intelligence, courage, and determination can transform an entire system. True power does not come from titles or wealth, but from the ability to make people confront the truth, acknowledge their mistakes, and commit to rebuilding from the ground up, creating an environment that is transparent, fair, and responsible. John's calm yet precise actions turned moments of injustice and long-rooted prejudice into vivid lessons on ethics and fairness. Every gesture, every glance, every reaction became evidence of the strength that comes from standing up for what is right. Change does not require noise, artificial authority, or physical intimidation. It begins with strategic thinking, keen observation, and the determination to turn injustice into an opportunity for reform. It was John's composure and focus that forced the entire operational structure, from branches to individual employees, to awaken and realign themselves with a new ethical and equitable standard. The public and community played an essential role in amplifying the message, as live streams and shared footage proved the power of media in promoting transparency and accountability. With tens of thousands of viewers and comments, the message of justice, respect, and responsibility spread widely, reinforcing that every wrongful act is exposed and every righteous act is recognized, that systemic change begins with one person courageous enough to rise. The story emphasizes that a single, aware, and brave individual can reshape the culture of an entire organization, pushing the system to operate according to its core values and ethical standards, influencing every branch employee and process, creating a powerful domino effect across the industry. John Parker showed that justice is action, the outcome of intelligence, resolve, and the proper use of authority. Every moment, every glance, every word delivered a strong message, inspiring everyone who witnessed it to understand that they too can become agents of change, that every prejudice carries a cost, and every act of fairness is remembered. The combination of power awareness and the ability to turn injustice into an opportunity for reform created a lasting legacy, one in which the system no longer tolerates bias. Every decision, every interaction is grounded in ethics and respect for customers, serving as a living testament to the power of standing up at the right moment and in the right way, proving that change is not just an idea, but a measurable and far-reaching outcome. John Parker left an indelible mark where every action reflected responsibility and integrity. From the smallest behaviors in the bank lobby to the strategic decisions of the entire system, everything echoed the power of justice and the ability to lead transformation. Everyone in that lobby, from customers to employees, realized that real strength does not lie in false authority, but in the ability to observe, evaluate, and take action when it matters. Every unjust moment can become an opportunity to educate, correct, and create long-term change. Live streams, comments, and shares expanded the impact of the story, spreading the message of fairness and transparency throughout society, affirming that media can be a powerful ally of justice when used correctly. John Parker proved that one individual can use power to awaken a system, creating change, not only for a bank, but for an entire industry. When you witness this story, you see that change begins with one person who possesses intelligence, courage, and determination to stand up, and that every action can create a strong ripple effect. Everyone can learn from John, understanding that power and justice always come with responsibility and action. This is a reminder that each person has the power to make a difference, that the right actions can reshape entire systems, and that fairness and transparency are not theories, but the result of real decisions and concrete actions. If this story resonates with you, click like to spread the message, hit subscribe to follow more journeys where justice is expressed through action and insight, and comment with the words, "Stand up," to show that you believe in the strength of a brave, intelligent, and determined individual to awaken a system and lead it toward transparency and fairness. Let John Parker's actions stand as living proof of the power of rising up, showing that anyone can make an impact, that when used correctly, authority can turn challenges into reform, injustice into opportunity, and every moment into a lesson of ethics, responsibility, and justice, inspiring all who are ready to act for what is right, proving that transformation begins with one courageous mind, willing to stand up and guide an entire system toward fairness and clarity, and that the actions of one person can reshape the culture and values of any organization.